From the moment he walked into the towering glass lobby of Everline Corporation, Ethan felt the weight of every eye on him. The clicking of heels, the hushed chatter of executives, the polished marble floors reflecting a world he had long been shut out from, everything around him whispered the same message he had heard all his life: you don't belong here. But today, Ethan Daniels wasn't here as a rejected job applicant, an underestimated intern, or a quietly struggling entrepreneur. He was here as something far more powerful, though no one in the room knew it yet. And that was exactly how he wanted it. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and treating people with respect, then please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. It helps these real-life, inspired stories reach more hearts. As Ethan approached the group of executives gathered in the lobby, he felt a quiet determination rise inside him. He wasn't wearing a tailored suit or carrying an expensive briefcase. Instead, he wore a simple navy polo, khakis, and calm confidence. This was the version of himself he had promised to honor, the one who had clawed his way through life without pretending to be something he wasn't. At the center of the group stood Victoria Hale, the sharp, impeccably dressed CEO known for her icy composure and ruthless business reputation. She scanned him up and down, her arms crossed, her smile thin and judgmental. The moment he stepped forward and extended his hand toward her, the room fell into a suffocating silence. Executives paused mid-sentence. Interns glanced nervously at each other. Victoria didn't hesitate. She didn't even pretend to be polite. Her eyes narrowed, and she let out a short, cold laugh that echoed off the glass walls. She didn't take his hand. Instead, she stepped back as if he were something she needed to avoid. The employees behind her chuckled quietly, acting as if they had just witnessed an amusing inconvenience rather than a public humiliation. Ethan slowly lowered his hand, not with anger, but with a kind of strength she clearly didn't expect. Victoria tilted her head and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, I don't shake hands with people who don't understand professional standards. Please check in at the visitor desk. She gave a dismissive glance at his clothes before turning her back to him. The mockery behind her smile wasn't lost on him. He could feel the sting of it in his chest, a reminder of every door that had ever been closed in his face. But Ethan had learned long ago that dignity was not what others gave you, it was what you carried, even when the world tried to take it away. Because what Victoria didn't know was that Ethan Daniels was the very angel investor who had quietly acquired 30% of her company's ownership. He wasn't just a visitor. He wasn't a nobody. He was the man whose signature would soon determine whether Everline Corporation lived or died. He had come unannounced because he wanted to see the real culture of the company he might rescue from its financial spiral. And in a single moment, a refused handshake, he got all the answers he needed. Ethan left the building without a word. The receptionist called after him, confused, but he didn't respond. Outside, he paused and looked up at the shining tower with a mix of sadness and clarity. He had once dreamed of companies like Everline, spaces where talent mattered more than appearance, where humility was valued as much as skill. But dreams often shattered in the glare of reality. That night, Ethan sat in his quiet apartment overlooking the city lights, reviewing numbers, contracts, and reports. Everline's situation was worse than he thought. They needed a miracle. They needed restructuring. They needed a leader who valued people, not just profit. He thought back to the faces he saw in the lobby, especially the young assistant standing behind Victoria, eyes wide with embarrassment over what her boss had done. He remembered how she had looked away, ashamed to be part of that cruelty. Ethan closed the file. The decision was clear. He would attend tomorrow's emergency board meeting as the company's new principal investor, but he wouldn't come dressed in a suit just to earn their respect. They would have to learn to give it freely, or lose it all. The next morning, Everline buzzed with panic. Victoria walked briskly through the halls, her heels clicking anxiously. The board had called an emergency meeting, and she didn't know why. Her assistant rushed behind her, trembling as she whispered, "Ma'am, the new investor will be here today." Victoria straightened instantly. Good. Finally, someone with real vision. When she entered the meeting room, chatter filled the space. The board members appeared nervous, whispering about numbers and projections. The chair of the board cleared his throat before announcing, "Our new principal investor is on his way up." The door opened. Ethan walked in. The silence that followed was absolute. Victoria froze, her confident expression cracking instantly. Her eyes widened in disbelief, confusion, and sudden fear. She looked at his clothes again, the same simple polo and khakis, and realization struck her like a blow. He had not been a visitor. He had not been beneath her. He had been testing her. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Ethan took a slow seat at the table, his presence radiating calm authority. The board greeted him with respect, stumbling over apologies for the previous day, but Ethan raised a hand gently. "I'm not here for apologies," he said. "I'm here to make sure Everline becomes a place where leadership is measured by integrity, not arrogance." Victoria's throat tightened. She stepped forward slightly, her voice desperate. "Mr. Daniels, I didn't know. I didn't realize who you were." Ethan met her eyes, not with anger, but with quiet disappointment that hurt far more. "And that," he said softly, "is exactly the problem." Her composure shattered. In front of the entire board, the icy CEO who once mocked him now looked small, humbled, and painfully aware of her own cruelty. She tried to speak, to salvage her dignity, but no explanation could justify the person she had been. Ethan continued outlining his plans: humane leadership training, culture rebuilding, and a complete restructuring of management behavior. For the first time in years, the boardroom felt filled not with fear, but with the possibility of change. As the meeting ended, Victoria approached him, her voice trembling. "Please, can we meet privately? I need a chance to explain myself." Ethan paused, then shook his head gently. "What matters isn't how you treat people you value. It's how you treat people when you think they can't offer you anything." He turned away, leaving her with the weight of her own actions. And sometimes, that weight is the beginning of transformation. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread for more inspiring stories that remind us what compassion truly means. Before we end, tell me in the comments, what would you have done in Ethan's place?